Better. Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Yeah.
Welcome back to Two Dudes Watch Cartoons, the podcast where two dudes, that's us, watch cartoons. My name is Evan.
And my name is Alex. Today, we're doing something a little differently today. We're trying out, in the past, we've done what we call a rec room, where we will recommend either a movie or a TV show that we think the audience should watch, and we go into it spoiler-free. Those episodes, at most, end up lasting like 14 minutes. It's not very long, not very exciting. So we're going to recommend 3 different things for you today. So no matter what sort of viewership you are into on this podcast, we're going to recommend something we think you will enjoy today. So we have 3 different things that we're going to be covering. I don't think we need to go into any sort of overview. I think we just kind of take them one at a time here. But you know what, Evan? I got one thing I want to ask you before I continue here. So I had saw a recent post online of generational lingo, and I want you to. So a term we say quite often around here is pod. I asked Brendan the first thing he thinks of when I say the word pod, and what do you think he thought of?
A jewel?
A jewel. It was a jewel pod. We say pod every day here. People are just thinking of jewel. I'm just kidding. That's probably. I just thought that was so interesting, though. I don't know, because like my mind obviously goes to podcasts because we do this all the time. So that really just sort of blew my mind when we went over that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that tracks. Pod. I think the stat's something like 50% of America still has not ever listened to a podcast. But also, I mean, didn't fucking Jules make a huge comeback like a little bit after our time, like as we were leaving college?
We were winning the war on cigarettes.
Came back with a vengeance.
Cigarettes were like, nah, we're addictive.
Make
we're
it look like a
now
USB.
Too.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of tracks. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, let's get into. Do you have a preference?
No preference, but I do want. I think it was maybe our second rec room. I want to give maybe like a quick eulogy.
Oh.
We did a previous rec room where we recommended Aquaman King of Atlantis, this really fun HBO Max zany Aquaman mini-series.
Yeah.
More akin to SpongeBob than any superhero cartoon you've ever seen.
Remind me of Adventure Time.
Yeah. And it fell victim to David Zaslav's HBO Max tax cuts. It's one of the series that is no longer on the platform. I hope it finds a life somewhere else because it was really delightful, fun watch. But as of now, you can't watch it anywhere.
That's the worst
which
part.
is unfortunate.
There's just nowhere to watch it. Moment of silence for Aquaman King of Atlantis. Moment over. Okay, so all right. If you have no preference, I'm just gonna take the reins. Then I'm gonna lead us off here. You know what? You did a good segue. I'm gonna lead us into our most sad one first. I'm gonna start off with the one that deserves a eulogy of its own. We're gonna talk about Infinity Train. Now, Infinity Train was originally on Cartoon Network. It's a Cartoon Network show. Infinity Train also was something we were gonna cover. But due to all the other topics we had to cover / procrastination, we now have missed our opportunity because HBO Max has removed it. I'm sure this show will find a home somewhere else. It's really good. And I think the only issue is I'm pretty sure Season 3 and Season 4 were HBO Max originals. That's my only qualm here. Okay, but let's talk a little bit about Infinity Train. Talk a kind of big picture overview.
Infinity Train, aptly named, is about a train with infinity cars. It's like I always think of it as like part Matrix, part Snowpiercer. If you've ever seen that, I love Snowpiercer. But it's this like purgatory space where these people who are at pivotal moments in their life go, when they face some sort of uncertainty, some sort of dilemma, they are whisked away on this odd, mysterious train, and you're discovering it. This is in season 1. I'll say you're discovering it along with the character of like what is going on this Infinity Train. Deeply beloved series.
It is a bit of an anthology series. While each series takes place on the train, and there are overlapping characters. Each season, for the most part, is a standalone season that follows its own story. And I'm obsessed with that. And here's why. I think it is such a strength writing-wise when you have a clear start and finish in mind. You know what I mean? Even it doesn't necessarily have to be a whole season, but like Avatar, like they always knew it was going to be 3 seasons and they were done. Like they had an end in mind, and that's part of what makes writing really good. When you're just writing to continue to write, because you don't know how many. That's where the Flash is at on CW now. They just write to write things. You know what I mean? With no end in sight. So that's one of Infinity. Yeah. So that is one of Infinity Train's great strengths. Is the writing is extremely superb, and while on the surface feels kind of lighthearted and
does it?
Sometimes no. In the beginning, we're talking spoiler free here. This is season 1. In the beginning, there's some cockamamie things, some zany things, but at its core, it's like a very deeply emotional story. Like Evan said, follows like along in some pivotal / traumatic moments in some people's lives.
Yeah. Here's why I push back on this. Yes, there is, in the early episodes, it's a little like Adventure of the Week.
There's a talking dog. There's, you know what I mean? Like,
but episode 1 is the main character, Tulip, I think. Experiencing
our good friend
her
Ashley Johnson
divorce, voiced by Ashley Johnson, the GOAT.
It's right out of the gate. What are people getting themselves into?
Her parents are having marital problems, are fighting, and she runs away from it. I remember when I first started watching it, I was like, this is really fucking heavy for
yes, it is
a Cartoon Network show. But that's part of the draw. Maybe part of the not commercial draw, or like, I don't know. It has a cult following. I don't know numbers wise if it ever did what, I mean, clearly HBO Max wanted it to do, but it's got a cult following.
I get what you're saying. It feels like a community where like the critics and the network maybe not love it, but the fans are obsessed with it. Like everyone that I've ever introduced this show to quickly breezed through the whole thing, much like myself. When it was first introduced to me, it was introduced to me in a weird way where I saw the trailer like years ago and then like forgot about it. And then someone had mentioned like, oh, I'm watching Infinity Train. I was like, oh, I think I saw that. And then I was like, oh, wow, there's already like 3 seasons out. Like I was excited. And I literally binged them probably in 3 days. I literally breezed through it.
Very easy watch. I'm similar.
There's 4 seasons now, though.
I don't think I watched it until you told me you were watching it and wanted to cover it.
To me, and this is one thing I wanted to do in this rec room type thing, is if you like X, Y, and Z, you'll like this. And so I think for this one, this is like very Cartoon Network wheelhouse. If you like Adventure Time, if you like Steven Universe, I think this is like right up your alley.
If you like Snowpiercer, like I said earlier. I think if you like The Good Place,
yeah.
Similar.
Ooh, I like that comparison. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I think you got a good one there. It's a really good show, and it's unfortunately now that we're like talking about it, it's almost like if we say too much, we'll spoil some really good moments in the series. It's something that you won't be able to put down. It'll be one of those shows where you're watching so much you are watching it like on your phone, like at breaks during lunch or something. It's addicting. There's a lot of mystery to it. You want to figure out what's going on, why things are happening, why people are doing things they are doing. It's really well done, and like I said, I think the writing is a big strong point for it.
I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, but seasons 2 and 3 to me are incredible because they explore what's the definition of consciousness or sentience and like what it means to be human.
No, you're right.
On a Cartoon
almost
Network
Westworld.
show.
Yeah, it's almost Westworld at times.
Westworld is another great comparison.
Yeah. Wow. Didn't even think of all these comparisons. The Westworld one's kind of strong in the later seasons, actually.
It's like sci-fi Good Place, Snowpiercer, all these things we've been talking about. Do you want to know
the worst part about this is we may just be titillating and teasing the fans because it may be hard to watch this. You might have to do it illegally.
I think you can find at least 1 and 2. You'll have to buy it on Prime. But hypothetically, if you were to go on Twitter and search an account called Hanna-Barbera screen caps and look for, Control F Infinity Train, they might have a Google Drive that has seasons 1 to 4 linked. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Just
I would never
spitballing here.
endorse anything of that nature, but if that were to happen and someone were to do that off of that information, possibly learning here, there's no way we could stop that. So
it's all hearsay,
It's all hearsay. One more time, what was that hearsay Twitter account though?
If I were to do it myself,
Yeah.
I would look up an account called Hanna-Barbera screen caps, like the old animation studio Hanna-Barbera.
Yes.
But yeah, that's just me personally.
Yeah.
And man, the swiftness with which these shows were torn off of HBO Max
They told
was
us,
incredible.
and
They
I
told
tried
us,
to watch it maybe 2-3 days later, and it was gone.
it was there. Yeah, I saw the news. I watched a couple episodes of Infinity Train. I watched a couple episodes of OKKO, another show that was taken off. Next day, they were gone. We hate David Zaslav here. No love for that man. I really,
running theme lately.
Yeah, just destroying any goodwill, any brand equity that is in the Warner Brothers name in the interest of saving money, which I guess is his job.
I felt like the problem with this, and we could rant about this all day, is I felt like they were on a nice upward swing. Like I felt like they were finally heading in the right direction. And I guess, what do I know? Like, I'm not a movie exec, but like, God, whatever. Okay. What do you, spoiler free, what, if you just kind of had to give, like a 30-second elevator pitch to someone, like, how are you? Oh my gosh.
Did I just disappear?
Yeah, you need to plug in your phone, maybe, it looks like. I wonder if it'll record like this. This is so funny.
sure
I'm
it
just
will.
talking to it. It's the little lightning USB thing.
I see it.
Here's the thing. Can I hold down the show on my own? Can one half of... Oh, no, not this. I thought we were getting behind the scenes look.
All right, let me adjust.
You're back, baby.
I'm back. David Zaslav overheard. Shut down my internet. I do have well, they don't own Warner Brothers anymore. I do have AT&T.
I was going to say. You know what's funny? While we're on this, John Oliver is always roasting as much as he can on his own network, and it always reminds me of, like NBC. What was it? 30 Rock, always roasting NBC. So
Yeah.
I love that. What is your... So back to what I asked you. 30-second elevator pitch for if you had to try to get someone to watch Infinity Train. What do you have?
It's the most heartfelt, emotionally, and intellectually stimulating piece of sci-fi I've seen in a long time. And it really sticks with you. Just our brief conversation reminiscing about the show right now. I want to go back and watch season 2 and 3.
I know.
Oh, I didn't know the seasons were anthologies, so when you go from the end of season 1 to season 2, and you see who they focus on in season 2,
it's mind-boggling.
My jaw was on the floor. I was like, this is going to be incredible.
Without spoiling it, it's just a character you absolutely thought they would have no business ever following. Like, it didn't make any sense, like, to me. You know what I mean? I was like, what? Yeah. And they end up proceeding to just drop, 10 episodes of, like, the best shit you've ever seen. So that's a good pitch. For me, I would say this is such a heartfelt, joyous show that deals in... okay, I got it. Sorry, I'm going to start over. 30 seconds. Okay, redo it. Elevator, I hit all the buttons instead. Okay, so for such a cartoon that sometimes places our main characters in wacky or out-of-this-world situations, it deals in such real human emotions and working through some of the most difficult times that you could possibly have to deal with and what that means for yourself. And it's just a show that I don't think many people would watch on their own. And that's why I think it's great we're recommending it, because it will be one of the favorite things you've ever watched in a long time if you haven't seen this show.
Totally agree. Our next recommendation was just something I'd seen a lot of people talking about on TikTok as a pleasant surprise. There's a new Netflix animated movie called Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie.
Yeah.
It like cut off, so I had to scroll down a little more to see. But why would you bother putting a colon if the only thing that follows it is the movie?
Because I think They have TV shows. I thought about this too. I was like, why are you putting the word "the movie" in there? And the only reason you would ever need to differentiate is with property that probably has like a lot of TV shows. And the one that came to mind is like where they'll go like Scooby-Doo, Fire Island, the movie. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not Fire Island. I can't believe I just said that.
That really caught me off guard. This was a really entertaining watch. I've now seen a TMNT. Actually, the last Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing that I watched was a movie in 2007 by Nickelodeon. They must own the rights or whatever. Yeah. These characters. And I remember it being pretty good, but again, it was 2007. I haven't gone back and watched it. But this sets them... It's like... what do you call it? It's not... I don't think it's like canon. It's like a...
No, I mean, there's so many things. It's like what's Scooby-Doo canon at this point. I think Scooby-Doo's a really good comparison because it's very like it is so over. Like they've had so many iterations of it, so many eras.
It's like a what if story.
It's like and so yeah. What was really interesting to me is when we started watching this. Holy shit, the flood of memories. I used to watch a ton of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. That, like, for a good while was all I would get at Blockbuster movies. Like, my family would get a movie we'd all watch, and I'd get
Was it the live action, the guys in the suits?
No. It was a cartoon. Probably a bunch of episodes they strung together to make a movie, if that makes sense, of whatever show it was back then. But it was with Splinter, and then they had the guy Shredder with the hand. And this one was new style animation. The voice cast was interesting. Caught me totally off guard. First off, I don't know if we said this, but this is a Netflix movie, and so it's on Netflix. The voice cast, the first one, the lead of the movie, Leonardo, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, Sonic. It's Ben Schwartz.
I was like, how do I know this too smug voice?
This too smug voice.
I enjoy
it's John
Ben Schwartz.
Ralphio, baby.
I don't like how he comes through his voice work. Sonic and Leonardo are just too smug.
I will agree with you. So Sonic, I thought he nailed. This one, he was just all right in. I was like, ooh, his voice acting is maybe a little more ranged than I thought it was. He wasn't great at conveying like the serious moments, but so that's not to detract from this. This was a really good movie. It was fun. If you like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's a spin on it. I don't ever remember this. They had like magic powers.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I know.
I dived right in. I said, I don't.
Post-apocalyptic future. It was kind of cool. I loved everything that was happening.
Once you suspend your disbelief, you were just like, not disbelief, but like wait, I don't remember them having powers. You're just like, oh, it's pretty cool. They got some sick powers too. It's fun. I love just ninjas, like the ninja trope. This one, what was really nice is in the past, I feel like they all had their own personality. But this one, they really gave them their own visual personality and style, where they were not just all carbon copies of the same with different bandanas and weapons, like they are usually.
And they had slightly different characterizations than I think we're used to.
There was older brothers, younger brothers.
Raph and Leonardo almost seemed like personality-wise, from what I remember, switched, which was just an interesting take, because normally Raph is the hot-headed, aggressive one.
Leo was the leader. And I think that's what it was working toward. Well, not to spoil the movie, but that's part of the journey that we're to be going on.
There's a lot to love in this movie. 1, ninjas. Love it. 2, magic powers. 3, post-apocalypse. 4,
good action.
4, time travel. 5, Band of Brothers, baby.
Wow, you nailed all the great points. The voice cast was good. The only other one that I really noticed, did you recognize Donatello's voice?
When I looked up the voice cast, I know who it is. I wouldn't have been able to place it otherwise, but it's Big Head from Silicon Valley.
That's 2 podcasts in a row we bring up Silicon Valley. I thought that was funny. And then the other one that really surprised me was Haley Joel Osment was Casey Jones. That one surprised me. I didn't catch that at all. So good voice cast. Like I said, this movie's not changing the world by any means. It's not going to be the best animated movie you've ever seen, but it was a fun watch. I really enjoyed it. It made don't tell my boss, but it made work on Saturday really easy.
In a good way. It's very cartoony, the animation. It's super expressive, visual gags. and I don't watch a lot of this shows, but I think tonally it reminds me of like a Teen Titans Go. It's like,
Oh my God, Evan, I'm not kidding. I was thinking the exact same thing. Okay. I'm not kidding. As soon as you were done speaking, I was going to say it reminds me of Teen Titans Go.
yeah.
But like I'm not like a huge Teen Titans Go fan, but it is a commercially successful show. Just kind of the jokiness of it.
Yeah.
It's funny. There was a lot of good jokes. There's a part early on, I'm not going to spoil it, but I like literally laughed out loud. I was like, oh my God. And I think I texted Evan. I think he knows what part I'm talking about. But yeah, it's a good movie. Like I said, it's maybe the weakest of the three that we're recommending today, but I think it's a good watch. I think what I would say, so my 30-second elevator pitch for someone to watch this movie is if you have any nostalgia for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a child, this movie will be a good watch for you.
So you're telling me you don't recall live action TMNT?
I remember one with Megan Fox.
Okay, that was a couple years ago, but there were
Michael
90s
Bay,
movies
maybe?
that were, Michael Bay, Alan Richardson.
I've seen the
from
meme
Titans.
of like the Michelangelo where you can see the actor's eyes out of the mouth hole. Like it's really creepy. I've seen that meme. I'm assuming that's probably what you're talking about. But no, I
Yes.
really never watched much of that.
There may have been a TV series of that as well, but like
crazy.
they were. And granted, my perspective is skewed because I was a child back then, but those live action suits that were in the movie had a crossover with the Power Rangers at one
Oh
point.
yeah, they did. They 100% crossed over with the Power Rangers,
And
which
that
is
was
just
a force in the night. Like,
yeah, that's absolutely crazy. I mean, that'll be the inevitable day when Star Wars and Marvel eventually are the same canon universe, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Ready for this, Evan? Let's take the magic powers. Well, you know what? Some Power Rangers have magic powers. Let's keep the magic powers. Who wins in a fight, Power Rangers or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I mean, I think this iteration of the TMNT
I was thinking
in
the
the
same
past,
thing.
I would have
This
been
iteration's got it.
in the past, I would have been a staunch Power Rangers guy.
Mm-hmm.
So the crossover happened specifically in Power Rangers in Space, I think the season was called. It was the first post-Zordon season after Power Rangers Turbo.
So they
Zordon, I
needed
think,
a hook. They were
dies,
like, look who
and then
we got.
they go to space. Yeah, and they crossed over with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at some point. Vanilla
I
Ice
really wonder.
did a song for their soundtrack in the movie.
Stop,
In the
bro.
90s movie. I gotta go back and watch those.
I always wonder now if my obsession with pizza comes from all the animated pizza I watched being eaten as a
Probably.
child. And so that's always a big theme. So yeah, if you like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, this is a good one. Evan, what's like your 30-second pitch to get people to watch this?
I don't know. It's just, if you have not thought about TMNT as I have in 20 odd years, this is a great way to just, that's the thing. It's like they've had enough staying power to be around for all of my life. And I think they they predate me. I think they started in the 80s maybe, but they've had enough staying power to constantly be being rebooted and
I think they're a
reimagined
comic
in ways.
book even.
I think it started as a comic.
That's actually crazy. We
but
should
they-
have come more prepared. That's like I didn't know that
Probably.
they went back so much.
We can do some.
We do have
Googling
Google
if we want. Right?
Yeah, well, let's just hold on. I'm gonna do it while you're talking. Go ahead.
But yeah,
continue.
they've had all this staying power, and they're, I would say, maybe on the fringes of pop culture, or they're like on the outskirts.
Yeah.
They're not like hyper relevant, but
I wouldn't say like they're a household name, but enough people would know them. Yeah, you got a good point.
if you have any nostalgic childhood memories attachment to this, it'll bring back those memories.
Okay, ready for this? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were established in the 80s, like you said, 83. The concept originally parodied several elements of popular superhero comics of the time. The mutants of the Uncanny X-Men, the teenagers of the New Teen Titans, and the ninjas of Daredevil, combined with the comic tradition of funny animals such as Howard the Duck. So it really just tried to like
It was
ride
just
all the
of
trends.
the moment. A hodgepodge. Okay, what would the version of that be today? Superheroes. I don't know.
It'd be something superhero related.
I mean,
that's
I
a good
think that's
question.
what we're. I mean, it is super. Like that's what we're seeing. The Boys, Invincible.
Yeah.
There was. I don't even remember what it was, but it was
They're all trend
a
writers.
Netflix show based on a Mark Miller comic. starred Josh Duhamel or something. But like, I think we're in that phase of like everyone's doing their take on superhero stuff. That's not
but are you ready for
blockbuster
this?
superhero stuff. What?
I think the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are just a different take on superheroes.
Yeah.
It's all the way back in the 80s too, man. Wow. I don't know. It's wild.
It is
Yeah,
refreshing to get something outside of the superhero lane, though. I think that's another,
true.
like,
Yeah.
something within geek nerd culture. It's nice, as much as I love superhero stuff.
I agree. And they're fun. They're a lot of fun, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They like party. You would probably have like a beer with them. Like, don't you imagine their like sewer as like
sure.
a party pad? It made me remember how much I used to actually watch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I totally forgot about them, like you said. So it was fun in that aspect. But yeah, good watch. It's not something you need to rush and go watch now. If you were had to rank these, go watch Infinity Train before you watch this. But throw this on. I think kids would really enjoy this too, and just some cool superpowers. It's cool. It's fun. I don't want to spoil it. It's part of the adventure.
Yeah.
But they do really just throw you in head first. They're like, just follow along.
Which brings us to our third and final rec. We were going to do a full episode to cover this, but
It's new.
it's newer. It's something that most people will not have seen unless you are a really avid anime fan. It's one I hadn't even heard of until our good friend Gary Gordon recommended it to us. We were going to cover it with him, so apologies, Gary. We're going to get you on soon. But I think just the experience of watching this show, and I'll introduce it to you in a second, and discovering this show is part of the delight. I am hardly even casual anime watcher. I have I grew up on Dragon Ball Z, read a bunch of Naruto, and watched the early seasons, Yu Yu Hakusho. So I'm definitely familiar with it. I've seen some of the big popular staples, and this is probably the first series since any of those that I was like, holy shit, I'm so into this. Can you introduce us to our third and final rec?
This is a newer anime. It is called Ranking of Kings, which is such an interesting name because it's the part that plays in the season as a whole is just kind of interesting when you look back on it.
The story sets out with the king, Boji's father, who is a giant, a literal giant. He dies. Yeah. And so it sets off this debate about the line of succession and who should be king.
Boji's tiny. He can't speak, but he is technically next in line. But so this is an anime. It is on Crunchyroll. That's where we watched it. I'm sure you'd be able to find it other places. That's just that's where we know it is. Its original run was in 2021. It looks like it just wrapped up here in March, which is pretty nice. So it is pretty brand new. I love animes, and sometimes it can be hard for me to get into like a brand new anime. I feel like I like a lot of older animes. This one I got into right away. Before getting into any of the plot, I kind of want to get into like the feel and the like vibe of it, if that makes sense.
To be honest, the first episode, I wasn't quite sold yet.
That's typical for you though. Just being honest. That's like very you.
Okay, that's fair. But the main character, his name is Prince Boji, super adorable. He is deaf. No, he's not deaf.
Mute.
He's
mute.
Can't speak. Yeah.
He's tiny.
I thought this was going to be like a children's book, and it has this very storybook aesthetic. And actually, one of the things I really love about this series as a whole is like similar to TMNT, which we just recommended. It has this sort of not quite as loose animation style as that, but the character designs are so varied. There's this grainy line that makes it look a little more cartoony. I thought it was going to be this cutesy series about a little prince who goes and has adventures. And I was like, I could, I might be able to get into that. But boy, episode 2 and 3, the world opens up. It turns into this whole, the way Gary had described it to us was Studio Ghibli meets Game of Thrones. If you don't know that going in, like, just know that's the ride you're in for.
It's such an accurate description of the show. The whole political landscape of kingdoms and successions, the Game of Thrones of it all, also the twists and turns of Game of Thrones. But
Yes.
the feel and vibe of a Studio Ghibli animated type thing where you can feel the metaphors and the lessons, and it's just beautifully drawn and animated, and there's friendships and enemies, and it's this big grandiose tale that kind of gets told. And it's just one thing, like good and bad moments of it all, like ups and downs. It's just beautiful. It's like just such a really beautiful story.
In the early episodes, there's a stepmother queen character, blonde. There's a younger prince who's not
Joffrey-esque.
Joffrey-esque. So like that's where the Game of Thrones comparison first came up for me. But even early on, they like start hinting at these different motives for different characters, and motives shift, allegiances shift throughout. And I'll be honest, at the end, I like kind of lost track of like who was doing what for who for some of these characters.
Because there's a lot of stories to follow.
At the beginning, I thought it was like, oh, they're setting up like this like Joffrey dynamic where they're trying to unseat the
such
prince
a
or whatever.
turn.
And boy, it takes you on a roller coaster ride. The moment that sold it for me is in episode 3. This is still very early on in the story, before you really know the trajectory of it. It's like the first all-out fight scene, and it is some of the most beautiful anime action I've ever seen. Like sword splitting, spear, like a character who is one of the good guys gets a fatal injury, and you're like, what the? I thought this was going to be a cute children's story, and like. It really turns it on its head, and it's incredible, and it only goes up from there.
Most of the characters in the show are human. There's Boji, but then there is also the number 2, who's I can't believe I missed this. His name's Kage, which literally in Japanese means shadow, and he is a living shadow. And so he's like on the ground. He's got 2 eyes, a mouth, and hands. And he's the weirdest drawn thing that you will ever care for in your life.
What was the second generation Pokemon? There's a whole alphabet of them. That's kind of what he looks like.
Unknown. Yep, it looks like an unknown, but with 2 eyes. Yeah, good comparison. Yeah. I could totally see that. It's just, it's so hard. I'm like having to hold myself back. Like I could gush about just so much about this story, the quest for power, the struggle to keep it, the ties that are family, things like that, the succession, like family, what's important, friends, family, like finding someone who understands you. Oh my, stop, bro! I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. It's so good. But like Evan said, the action scenes. Here's the other thing: the action scenes are high stakes. Some animes will get lost in like what seems like very low stakes fighting. I always go back to our comparison of season 2 of Korra. She's just fighting spirit monsters. I don't think the main character of our show is going to lose to a know-nothing. You know what I mean? So like 2 characters you care about fighting, duking it out is something that's really interesting. One pet peeve of mine is there are brothers and their names are Despa and Desha. And I was just like, come on. You couldn't give me any different. I don't know which one's which to this day. I just know they're each, one of the other. And so it's good. It's a really good show. I think why we decided we wanted to throw this in as a recommendation is because us talking about it and robbing someone of the chance to see it really felt wrong, in all honesty. This to me takes some of like a lot of the emotion of Infinity Train, but jam packs it with some badass fight scenes, some dramatic twists, some betrayals, just like tears, blood, everything you would want in a high stakes fantasy anime is jam packed in here. But it's just like I said, it's also just so beautifully told, beautifully animated. It's like a 10 out of 10. It's really strong.
I'll be honest. This is, for me, an easier watch, a much more engaging watch. This is going to be a hot take. Because I do enjoy the series, but I have a tough time sitting through it. Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, I totally understand what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying.
Good
Cowboy,
as
Cowboy Bebop's great, but
it's more of a vibe. And this is so engaging all throughout.
Like Evan said, a storybook is what I would compare this to. And I think when we talked about Spirited Away, that's something we talked about is this feels really storybook-esque. It's like it's not one thing that makes it feel that way is it's not following your typical beats of a movie, opening and then conflict and then set for a call to action, and then climax. And there's twists, there's turns, there's ups, there's downs, there's slow points, there's high points, fast points. It's very dynamic. That's a good word for it. It's very dynamic.
The action, again, I cannot stress, shines better than, I don't know, a Dragon Ball Z or a Naruto.
How dare you?
But
yeah, I get what
you
you're
know
saying.
what I mean? I hate when it's just the
Yeah.
the little dashy lines. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
hate it. I do love that shit. But it hits different when you can see a full swing. I don't know. It works so well.
It's one of the reasons we really praise Avatar is the fight scenes and the action scenes are very fluid and animated well. I feel very similarly about this.
I think it was Polygon had this as one of their top recommendations for anime to watch in 2022. So this is a critically acclaimed or very well received popular series. Find a Crunchyroll account and go watch it.
I think you could do a free trial even. And for me, it was Dragon Ball got me into anime at the very first time. Then I ended up becoming obsessed with Naruto for many, 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 many years. And I never found anything that I really liked until My Hero Academia. I like that. That came out, and that's good. This honestly is the next thing where I was obsessed with, where I was wow, this is just so strong, so well done. And like I said, it came out of nowhere for me. It's not like I saw a bunch of TikToks or advertisements for it. Our friend Gary just was like, hey, have you guys seen or heard of this? And we were like, no. And what a very pleasant surprise watching it.
If you like Game of Thrones, this is a Game of Thrones you could watch with your kids.
I think if you like anime, you will love this.
Yes,
you know what? We didn't do that in the middle. Yeah, but so other things. If you like any sort of anime, I really think you'd be a fan of this. If you like Game of Thrones, you'd like this. Studio Ghibli animation, I think you'd be into this a bit too. God, at times it's kind of fairy tale-esque. It's so good. The lore, the myth of it all. If there was gonna be an order of things, this would be the one you would want to start with. If you're just an open book to any of our recommendations, go watch this.
I think you put it very well. This is the first anime I've been obsessed with in a long time. Probably One Punch Man was probably the last series that I
I can't believe I forgot about.
into.
I love one.
Yeah,
can't count out One Punch Man. I just consider One Punch Man kind of in a different category. It's like anime satire almost, but you're right. It is still an anime.
Yeah, I think that does it for our Rex.
Yeah.
Do we have any news to cover?
We should. Hold on. It's been so long since we've talked. I don't know. Hold on here. Let's pull up our news. For those of you wondering at home, the way me and Evan send news to each other is just our Twitter DMs. Little behind the scenes fact for you. And I'm just scrolling through our Twitter DMs to find the best news. Okay, Danny DeVito claims best penguin of all time on lie detector test. What do you think about this? Did you like his performance better, or did you like the one from...
I think they both committed to the role 100%. I like the Batman more than I like Batman Returns.
There's also Gotham. He's a notable penguin. Who's your favorite penguin?
I hated Hot Topic Penguin. I never got into Gotham. I never watched
Hot
that.
Topic Penguin. I definitely think there's an argument for Danny DeVito's character there. More Danny DeVito news is he wants to be in the live-action Hercules.
Which would be fantastic. I don't know if we talked about this on the pod, but it's the Russo brothers doing that, right? They're producing,
Wow, it is.
directing?
You did tell me that. That's a big deal. Because the
Yeah.
Russo brothers are big.
They are.
Any gripes I have with Marvel, I don't have any gripes with the Russo brothers at all.
Did you watch Gray Man? Starring Ryan
Not
Gosling.
yet,
and
but
Chris Evans?
dude, I was at brunch today and someone just told me to watch that. That's insane. So I gotta watch that. That's really crazy.
It's pretty good.
Okay,
It's
here's
good
a fun
action
one.
movie. Yeah.
I think this is a big one. There's talks about possibly a National Treasure 3. And I think that's a big deal. So one time, me and Evan were on a school trip, and we literally were looking at the Declaration of Independence, and Evan is quoting Nicolas Cage saying, "I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence" several times while security's around. I was like, bro, stop the joke. We're going to get in trouble any second now.
National Treasure 4, Nicolas Cage has to steal the documents back from Mar-a-Lago.
I'd pay to watch that.
I'd love to watch that.
Yep, that's we need that movie. That's great. What news are you looking at here, Evan? You see anything interesting?
Yeah, Dune announced an open world Survivor MMO game.
That looks pretty intense, actually. I'm into that.
Which, I'll be honest, I fell asleep the first time I watched Dune. I think I was watching it very early in the morning for some reason. It's a long-ass movie as well. But I sat down to watch it again, and it blew me away.
It's so good. I saw it twice in theaters.
Okay, weirdly, this connects with The Gray Man. Dune, the movie, cost $35 million less to make than The Gray Man.
What?
And The Gray Man has gotten a lot of flack online for looking cheap.
Wow.
Which it does. So maybe they should have gotten less expensive stars. I don't know. It's a fine action movie, but it does itself a disservice by how cheap it looks.
To me, Dune is like what I want from Star Wars. It's like an adult Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
That movie sucked me into that world, and I know nothing about it. That movie made me want to go read a book. You know how hard that is?
Number one qualm with Dune, though? Jason Momoa needed a beard. I can't stand looking at
bro,
his,
he looked so
dude.
weird. He looked so like I would never say this to his face. Maybe I shouldn't even say this on the pod. It looked weird. I need a beard on him at all times.
Yeah. We won't be seeing Jason Momoa's beard or neck until late 2023, though. Aquaman 2 has been delayed.
Oh my
and
god.
Shazam 2. Man.
Shazam 2 I'm probably more excited for than Aquaman 2, actually.
I would agree.
Yeah. I didn't know if that was a hot take or not. I'm not really looking at much else news. I mean, exciting personal news. The Rehearsal was renewed for season 2. That's going to be so good. I can't wait. If you haven't watched The Rehearsal, I mean, I don't even know what to tell you. You should go watch it, but be warned.
I don't think I have anything else. That's all I got. Unless we could keep ranting about Warner Brothers.
You would just make a whole new segment about just Warner Brothers. No, yeah, this was good though. I hope people enjoy our recommendations. You know, we want to expand your animation horizon. That's part of our mission here. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. I really like ending on news. I think it's a good thing we do that. I think it's fun and it keeps us up to date. Well, and you know, it really dates these podcasts, keeps them timely, so we can tell when these happen.
I also personally need to expand my own animation horizons. Ranking of Kings came out of left field for me, so hit us with your recs. You know, we'd love to know what you're watching that we haven't seen. So feel free to shoot us a recommendation anytime.
We love that. Please let us know what you're watching, what you love. But if you are looking for more,
a couple other things we had sent to each other. One Punch Man season 3 has been announced.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm kind of okay with this one. HBO Max, you know, canceled a lot of projects. They currently have no plans for Young Justice season 5. I'm personally okay with
How dare you? How fucking dare you? You're just trying to piss off Susie. Oh my god. I love Young Justice. It is literally one of the best DC properties of all time. I'm going to have to fly and murder Evan now.
Doesn't hold a candle to Teen Titans. I think that's my big
It's not the same as Teen Titans. As soon as you get over that it's not the same as... Dude, oh my god. Okay, I'm not having this fight on air.
House of Dragons has also been renewed for season 2 already after one episode has been released.
That's wild. Although, you know what? I don't take any of that into stock anymore because I Am Groot got a season 2 before it was even premiered. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Gumball movie that we had just recently announced on a news segment maybe 2 episodes ago has now been canceled.
It's canceled.
Yeah.
Good news. Just kidding. It's not good news.
It's rough out there.
Yeah. I mean, if you are looking for more Two Dudes, we have a pretty extensive catalog of episodes. A lot of things you could go check out. Please look at us on Apple, Spotify. We're also on YouTube. You could subscribe to us there. We're doing big things on YouTube. Follow us at Two Dudes Watch Cartoons on both TikTok and Instagram. And then on Twitter, we are at Two Dudes Watch. And of course, if you're using Apple Podcasts, please don't forget to rate and review us. We'd really appreciate it. It helps other people find us, so we'd be very grateful for that. And, as always, thanks for listening. We love having you here. We love talking about anything animated, sometimes some non-animated things. Don't tell anyone. But we're having fun with it, and we appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we will catch you next time.
Two dudes watch cartoons.
Had it ready that time.
Mm-hmm.